Chico. Got me frozen and so better leave. I'ma swap at the time and that's take it from me. Move jittery bass in 2 days, I'm on 3, I'm gone. Palomino Patron, Cappuccino Patron. Alameda song, stack it up, stack it up.
What is up, ladies, gentlemen, degens, and idiots, of which I am a member. So I'm just representing for myself. We're back. We're back with another episode of The Pit. Early / very soon to be pre-bull market vibes. Hopefully the viewership is up as a result of that.
It has been. We 2x'd our viewership last week, 15 to 30, baby.
Dude,
Let's
people
go.
care again. That's
we are
fantastic.
so fucking back.
Yeah,
We're so fucking back. I am your host, Satoshi. I'm a piece of toast, and I'm your host. With me, as always, is RT. What's up, RT?
what's going on? Going with plaid red today, feeling very Canadian, very.
I was gonna ask about your outfit.
North Country. It's just cozy. My office is cold as shit today, so I was just like, I'm putting on the plaid.
Front ran my outfit question, and of course, the shitcoin on chain schizo lord Chewbacca, aka Scrotoshi. What's up, friend?
What's up? What's up? How you doing?
Sorry, can we pause for a sec? What is Scrotoshi?
Oh man, this is.
Oh, how long do you have?
It came out of nowhere. It just makes me think of scrotum, and it's like I just never quite.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't
so
put that
there's
together.
There's this NFT project called Scroto Schizos,
Okay.
and it's just a project that I'm bullish on. It's pretty similar to, you know how like the Sprotos came out after the whole, Harry Potter coin started mooning. And you see these like, Sproto Gremlins are probably like the newest version of maybe like a Milady type NFT cult. They've done really well.
Okay.
And then so this is kind of like another similar type of NFT project that I'm bullish on, and they've had like a little run probably about a month ago, but now they're back at the lows, and so yeah, just kind of adopted the name.
Yeah,
Could I
Scroto
ask-
is like the Harry Potter, Obama, Sonic 10 Inu universe.
Of NFTs. Okay. Could I ask you a boomer question? Where does one, and I've asked this forever, no one ever gives me a straight answer. Where does one chart NFT price action?
Blur.
Okay. There's
Yeah.
been so many
Also,
answers.
Ledger
I've
as a
never landed
tool.
on.
Well, isn't Ledger constantly shilling some NFT tracking tool?
I
He
forget what
used
it's
to.
called.
Yeah.
Metrics.
I don't know.
God,
Man, we're
yeah.
full of info today.
You're right. Yeah, we got all the
Yeah,
answers.
Blur.
Okay, another on that point, ordinals. Real quick, this is not the theme of the show.
Let's go,
But I
dude.
keep hearing about them, which means there must be something happening. Is there a pump going on in Ordinal Town, or is it just a bunch of new projects that people are buying and all the existing shit is just still useless?
Well, for those of you guys who aren't in the pit, go to hxro.com, click on the community tab, join the Discord, because that's where you get the alpha. And speaking of alpha in the pit, pit legend Hxro came out of hiding. I think it's because HNT was pumping his mobile phone Ponzi, and he came out of hiding to say that ordinals are the play, and that the best play in BRC 20s right now is Oshi. So I went and swept the 80k sats floor on Oshi BRC 20s, and they're mooning. So it's BRC 20 season in the pit right now, and the alpha is coming from.
Okay, pull
Sergeant
that
Phil.
up. I want to see mooning in BRC 20s because I missed that boat. I was all over the sub 10k ordinals, but I missed all the BRC 20s.
I don't know how to get a chart, but here's a listing on the Unisat marketplace for all of the Oshi tokens inscriptions. And yesterday, this was like 80k for the first 2 rows, and then like 95k sats. And I swept all the 80ks, and now we're up to, 140k sats. We're almost 2x from yesterday.
Nice. And so you just
That's
buy that with
Hxro
Bitcoin?
What?
So you have to buy it with Bitcoin, so it's like a 20-minute transaction?
Well, you download the Unisat wallet Chrome browser extension. This is financial advice. No, it's not. That's not.
Don't
what it
worry,
is.
I never listened to anything you said.
You download the Unisat wallet, and then you can send Bitcoin to it, and then you can use it on the Unisat marketplace.
Okay, so it's a little more off-chain, like you can move a little quicker once it's in there?
Oh, yeah, it took like literally 2 minutes to buy all of those inscriptions.
Damn. Okay. So I
And
basically
they're coming
I
out
went.
with like a Uniswap type solution, but it's in beta right now. So you got to use this like OTC-ish marketplace where people actually list like how many tokens they're selling at what price.
Okay. Yeah. I have not gotten any deeper into that. I got pretty crazy in the week 1 of like Ordinals, and I bought a bunch of sub 10Ks thinking
I remember, yeah.
yeah. Then they did well for a week, didn't sell anything, and now they're dead. So I'm waiting for like 3 to 5 years. I figure sub 10K collection could be worth something in way too long. So I'm gonna just ignore them.
Tidro told me unironically to wait until this number right here is 10,000.
$10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad. 20x seems reasonable
yeah.
for a crypto thing.
Is it 20x? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
20x from here. 40x from buys.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right. So what are we seeing in Bitcoin? I almost shorted the top last night. Would have got slightly pip stopped out and then it dumped. So I'm glad I canceled my short. But also not glad I didn't have a short, as we've just nuked back through the Monday range.
Yep. So Monday high was here. Monday low was this candle right here. We closed the day, fell back out of Monday range, and then reclaimed it. So I was long here, and then got stopped out here. And then sure enough, we nuked pretty hard down to what is it? The bottom of the last week's Monday range, which is 34,746. Perfect bounce there, almost the full length of the range. Kind of chilled out above the midpoint for a little bit, and then it came back up, sort of retested the top of that range, and then it was blast off. I got long here at Monday range low reclaim, and then it seemed like we were going to just bust out here, but we ended up basically creating equal highs at the top, and then we fell back below last night, shorted here on the reclaim of Monday range high to the downside, and now we're flirting with reclaiming the low again, and so I'm trying to get long.
So are you just up at 3 a.m. waiting for these Asian session drop back in ranges? Like, how do you catch that?
No, this was at like this was.
No, I remember that because I saw you post just got long on Monday reclaim, and I was like, oh, and I went and checked, and I missed it by like a pip, and decided to like see if I could catch the retest, and then it just literally teleported. I was like, Jesus fuck.
No, I sleep every night, dude. I'm not doing that this cycle.
Good man.
I don't stay up for price action.
I mean, but when it dropped back in, you said you shorted. Wasn't that like at 4 a.m.?
That was last night. It was right here.
Oh, yeah, I was out last night. I fucked up. I did that thing. I went out with a friend and enjoyed myself. Terrible mistake.
Gross, dude.
Yeah. Slacking.
But that's Bitcoin. That's the story. And a lot of people are getting real bearish right about here.
Yeah, I was a little suspicious. We came up to that high and I was like, you know what? The breadth indicator's pointing down. It's super overbought. It's like in overbought territory and it's just flipped. And I was like, even with last night's push up, I was feeling immense FOMO, feeling like, oh man, I'm just not in the positions I want to be. And I captured that emotion and went, this is usually when I would, if I longed anything, I would look back and be like, oh, you long the top. So I tried to hunt for a short, but I was going out for the night and I looked at it. I was like, it's probably going to get stopped out, even if it does eventually dump. And it would have got stopped out by about $100. So I canceled it. So I saved 3K by not being in that failed trade. But then I woke up to like a 1K drop. I was like, yeah.
Yeah. The one thing that did have me a little bearish is in ICT trading, which is like the trading system du jour for CT right now. This is called a breaker. When you have like an order block here, you go up and then you come back down and you break it, it leaves behind a sort of zone of resistance. This is a bearish breaker. They also happen on the, there's not one on this chart, but there's also bullish breakers, which should provide support. And this is literally a weekly bearish breaker from 2022. And that's we literally stopped at the exact midpoint of that bearish breaker.
So what's the dynamic behind that? Is that the idea of like trapped buyers that want out at break even? Because what an amount of time to hold for that break even.
I try not to approach these kinds of things from a standpoint of what's actually going on in the order books that justifies this. Rather, I look at how likely is this to occur on a chart? How often does it happen? If it happens often, then I can just sort of write it off as like, oh, this just happens. I don't need a reason why it happens. It just tends to.
Yeah,
you know?
don't overthink
happens
it.
often
Just
enough.
follow it.
Enough people
Yeah,
are
it's
looking
like-
at it.
Yeah, like FVGs get filled, right? Not because of some, like, you know, you could say it's because of some market maker positioning shit, but that shit also tends to sound ridiculous. I just think it's because they're very rare. They don't exist on the chart. And so if they are rare, then the likelihood is that they will get filled.
I was just thinking in terms of like basic support resistance exists because of the psychology of like, if you get in at a level and then it moves against you, the human nature is to like, when it gets back to that level, you sell. So it becomes resistance. Like
You could call this, right? You could call this an underside retest of an order block and forget all the bearish breaker shit. Forget that it broke it. Just know that, okay, we're coming up from the underside to an obvious level on the chart where, like, you know, maybe this provides some resistance. And so people put their orders here. And that's behind it. But again, like, that's all guesswork, you know?
Yeah, it's the never-ending chicken and egg with TA. That's why I like Gann, because the arcs and the crazy lines that come out of his projections, like they don't make any logical sense. Like you can't say like, oh, price rode down this arc because everyone was looking at the arc and selling it. Like, let's be real, nobody's looking at the fucking Gann
No
arcs
one's
from
looking at
2-year-old Gann fans, and yet they work.
Yeah.
How well you can make them work for you is the question, though, because they're not like a perfect science of they bounce off everything perfectly, but they guide price.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not shocked that I was shocked yesterday that teleport up smelled like insiders buying in some news, and then the news that dropped was like a delay, and you're like, okay, what the hell was that? It's almost like they knew that was coming and they tried to drive it up so that when the delay hit, they'd be in good position. But now we're getting a full retrace on the day.
And then what's kind of like the next stop with ETF news?
That's it. And so I was kind of suspect with that high last night. That's why I was kind of sitting there thinking, if anything, I want to just get a little hedge on, because what's the next driver, right? We saw it with the initial BlackRock ETF filing where it was exciting for a couple of weeks, but then the reality is it's now just wait and see, which usually equals sideways and down. And so the real question is, can alts maintain their rotational, you know, alt season-y vibes through this? Once Bitcoin settles here somewhere in a range, can alts just keep mooning? Because they've been fucking mooning.
Yeah.
Like there is immense FOMO. I can confirm my emotional state is somewhere between immense FOMO and, you know, like almost like number go up. I'm almost entirely 100% spot long, but I'm filled with irrational feelings of feeling left out because of the leverage stuff. So that's what I was saying before stream. I had an epiphany last night, and I think I finally come to the conclusion that I don't want to leverage trade.
Yeah.
The last 2 to 3 weeks have been filled with unnecessarily stressful evenings, time spent around family, not fully engaged, all this, all that, all over the place. And it's all entirely about leverage. Even if you're not in a trade, you see what woulda, coulda, shoulda been. And meanwhile, my spot trading, my swing trading, all that is fine. I'm sitting there chilling, making money. I've basically decided I'm going to retire the leverage account, focus on midterm swing spot trades. And looking at last cycle, that's where 95 to 97% of my overall gains came from. So it's logical. The fact is, it's just addictive. It's hard to pull away from.
I've been trying to limit leverage alts to Bitcoin nukes. So here's BTC Charlie's like alt Getty, and
render. Oh my god!
Render's at the top right now.
Fuck, wow,
dude,
love it.
I went to look at it last night because I saw a tweet about how it's been consolidating in a daily, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'll go join that." And it was 2 days north already. I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah,
but
like basically like. And I got to give it up to Insilico, like the liquidation cascade on BTC into a bounce, like we saw here, is the optimal place to get leverage long on some alts, especially the ones where if you look at Alt Getty, they've been outperforming.
Like they just recover 10 times harder.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think I long TIA. Yeah, I definitely long TIA on that cascade.
TIA, DYDX. So
Sweet,
DYDX was my trade of the month, and yeah, and that's kind of actually where I came to that conclusion about the leverage stuff, because I smoked that trade. I mean, I was in it great. I stayed with it great. I ended up closing out the end of it at $4 last night, and then looked at my overall futures balance, and it was almost break even because I spent the whole time through that trade fucking around on other little shit. Can't help myself. So for those of you out there who are drawn in by the constant shilling of high P&L posts by people, it's very alluring. But number one advice to you as a trader is like, know thyself, learn your strengths, identify, you know, some people can handle it. I have come to the conclusion that I can't handle it. Or even if I could find a way to handle it, I don't want to, because it would take so much effort and pull me away from family and friends and work and other shit that I'm working on, like projects and supporting and investing. So it's okay to not leverage trade.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people need to learn. You know, it's okay to be up $2,000 on the day instead of 45 grand in 20-second scalp trade. Like, it's very alluring, but I'm just not cut out for it.
Alluring.
Well, that's what it is, right? And I could have sat there and flaunted my like 40K return on my DYDX trade, but in between that, the 4 and 3 and 5K losses that chopped up, it almost was break even. But what are you going to tweet? You're going to tweet that one huge win. And that's why so many people get drawn into it. So there's massive amounts of gains to be made in passive rotation investing. So
yeah,
that's it. Catch me leverage trade, smack me in the face, because I'm done.
Not to pour gas on a dangerous fire, but like all my best trades over the last week have been buying high and selling higher on leverage.
I know. And that's the thing. You trade that way too. And you and I have had this conversation ad nauseum. Like, you have a different style, lower time frames, like quick ins, quick outs. My problem too is I'll get into these leverage trades, like the Bitcoin one, the Monday range thing. I was doing the same thing. And because you're in such a tight invalidation, I'm like 40 Bitcoin long, because the stop out is like 0.5% down. But then it moves a bit. It's like it's up 11K in an hour. And
with tight stops, you also need to be willing to re-enter the same trade multiple times, which is like definitely
which I did.
Discipline. Yeah.
Which I did twice, and each time lost. And then you're like, okay, instead of grabbing 11K profit in 10 minutes, I ended up taking 2 5K hits in 2 hours. So anyways, long story short, some people are great at it. I've decided I'd rather just swing trade and enjoy more of that passive, because I also have a ton of shit going on too. Some people, like, if I was solo, bachelor pad, living here, nothing else to do, I feel like I could do it. But then I've got calls with teams, I'm investing, I'm supporting this, I'm advising that, I have kids. Like, the futures just takes over my brain. So anyways, I digress. I'm done. Rant complete.
Archie, did you see this?
Can you explain what TIA is real quick?
Yeah, TIA is Celestia is a modular blockchain data availability layer, which allows blockchains to scale users efficiently without clogging up the network, so they can launch blockchains more effectively. And it goes up.
Yeah. So how did you get the airdrop? You were farming for it, right?
I didn't get the airdrop, actually. So I got this 403 error that a lot of people got, and they totally double F me out of my airdrop, and I took my revenge with leverage futures trading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really made a statement to everyone who dumped their airdrop, didn't they?
Oh, it did. Yeah. So in late 2021, Ansem posted his last research report, in which he was talking a lot about modular blockchain and specifically Celestia. And so it's been on my radar since then. He talked about how it was eventually going to release a token, and I've been waiting on it. And when it finally came out, I was like, this thing's good for Moontown once it's done with its like airdrop washout. And when we cleared the highs of it, I had this fib retracement drawn on the airdrop candle down to the lows, and the chaos level RT was right around $6. And so I told someone in the pit, I was like, T is going to $6. And he said, not right
That was a
now,
joke
but
at first.
$6 right now. And I said, I mean, yes. And that was right here. and then we all just watched it go to $6 pretty aggressively.
Yeah,
Now
I
that-
saw the banter at the breakout, the 4-hour breakout candle, and I looked at it. You know what it was? I went to the BingX books, and there was no liquidity. Like it was like you could lift 300 here, 200 there, and so I just kind of was like, okay, and then moved on, and yeah, regretted life choices for a bit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. it
Even
was a
that
banger
next
trade.
dip, that 382, like that first big dip above, that was a perfect 382 plug.
Yeah,
That's where
I got out there too.
Yeah, and I missed
got-
again, same thing. I caught it just after the bounce and was like, and then yeah. But what do you think now? Cooked for a bit?
The next chaos level is $9.67, and I see no valid reason outside of BTC majorly cucking that it should not go there. I'm just waiting for re-entry, and I think that this is starting to look good, right? It touched a 4-hour FVG right here, filled it out, and now it's going back up. So looks great.
Can I just say
So you
that
think
it
this
brings
is
me
a
great
good narrative
joy
play as well?
to see you using chaos PRZs.
Yeah, dude, I had to whip it out for the
Gives me
homie.
great
You know,
pleasure. Dude, they smack though.
they smack.
And even if they don't,
Gave
it's
the
like,
balls to tell y'all weird that it's going to $6.
check out DYDX. Go slap one on DYDX. It front ran it for now. But thankfully so you have the second one, the 2618. So DYDX from that consolidation.
This down to here,
just the main mid one, that little 2-month one, right there. Like take the
Right
low
here?
and high, low and high of that consolidation. And it is how I was trading DYDX. Do you have the template saved?
yeah, right here.
Is it, what was that? Oh, did it hit it last night?
Yeah.
Oh.
Bitch.
Son of a bitch. Let me go look. Okay, where are you trading? I think I had it on the spot, maybe on the perps. It hit.
I got spot Binance right here.
Motherfucker. Did it hit on perps?
Spot Nance, baby.
Either way, I closed it somewhat front running it just because it had already kind of rolled over.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it only went up to 437 on
That's what 430.
Okay, hold on. Let me get my bearings.
I've got the 4.669 at 4.303.
Oh, I think we're
Maybe I drew it wrong.
yes.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, it was 462, so it didn't quite come into that one.
Yeah.
But I took profit at the 2618 and then a little bit above, and either way, yeah, the chaos smacks. And if nothing else, because like of course it could keep going higher, but like no matter what, if you traded from some kind of reload zone or whatever up to a chaos, you're making money.
Yeah.
So you don't have to sweat it even if it does go higher. And if it does go higher, have a little moon bag for that 877, which I think on DYDX, I think we're going to see the 877 smack. Because look at the daily volume. Go to the daily on DYDX. I'm still 100% intact on my spot position, but I have closed my leverage trade just because
it looks fierce.
The volume on those highs, like nothing about that says, oh, I'm exhausted, I'm done. So I think and if you look at the weekly, forget about it. Give it a high time frame zoom out on the weekly. It's ridiculous chart. Like it looks like it's going to reprice like Matic level.
Yeah.
Like zoom right out on it. And it just, this is, so boys and girls listening at home, if you're going to take notes, this is the chart that you want to find in crypto. It's been bottoming for well over a year, and now it has blasting volume breaking out of that consolidation pattern. That's the kind of shit that will just end up ramping up over a period of months, most likely, but still wait for dips. But yeah, DYDX probably
link.
Yeah, here's your daily
same to link.
FVG.
Link, exactly. Perfect
Yeah.
example.
Here's your daily FVG, and the midpoint's at 3.569. I'll probably be looking for bids there. I tried this morning, but did not work out.
Yeah, so that's the thing for me now. I'm out of my core DYDX like leverage long, and now, if anything, I'm looking to add to my spot bag on this next dip, because that last daily candle did look a little, whatever you call that, tweezer top or whatever.
Sussy.
Yeah, what's that candle? The fucking, I don't know, reversal candle.
Yeah. Pin bar?
Pinhole.
bar.
I don't know. I just finished a scotch, so I can't remember words. But you know that candle.
Yeah. How about BONK, yo? Jesus.
I can't with BONK.
I haven't looked at BONK in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All Solana eco coins, for whatever reason, I've been absolutely handcuffed and handicapped. Have not moved over. Have not played on chain. And you know why? Because I have this monstrous hero bag that's max stake, max long, and I feel so exposed to the eco that I've been very complacent about moving over to playing it. But it's the time to play.
Also, you got to get so deep in the weeds to
be
early on Solana shit coins right now.
But even like Marinade, BONK, and Orca, like, we're just dunks over the last few months, and I was trading them and looking at them just a little early, got stopped out, and then didn't go back. So,
dude, did you buy this?
POKT?
No.
Not yet.
I sent you a message to buy it yesterday.
Did not pick up the POKT.
I mean, when I started buying this, it was like 8x from here in 2021, and it went to, 34. I mean, what's $2 from here? Went to $3 actually. And it's at 7 cents right now. I started shilling it in the pit right about here, 4.8 cents. It's decentralized physical infrastructure, so it's RPCs. A lot of chains use it natively, and it's how they get blockchain data out to people using apps. And decentralized physical infrastructures are probably going to catch a big narrative, given that, Render's one, and there's more, and it's like the place to load up IMO. We even caught your little setup, boy. Right here. Low, high, higher, low, blast off.
Weekly W.
Yep. Yeah. And broke it.
Where's it trading now? CoinX. Is there any good exchange that's on, even like BingX or anything?
Yeah, MXC.
And you can buy it. There's wrapped POKT, right?
Yeah, you can get W POKT on Ethereum.
Yeah. Wonder what.
There it is, dude. Trendline breakout after a weekly W. It's the fucking setup. I bet if I showed this to Hxro, he'd be like, "Yeah, it's not really though."
Yeah.
I don't
got to wait for a W on the other side of the trend line.
Yeah. He always tells me my TRI setups are off.
Yeah.
But this setup is the whole market right now. Long-term downtrend, weekly W breakout. It's the
dude.
Whole
so
market.
Okay, so here's the question, because things never just go from like, hey, I'm a full bear market to like I'm a nonstop bull. So do you? I have the irking, like, I almost assume that at some point, whether it's through December, tax selling, January, whatever, we have to have like a lull that'll come back in and make that reload zone higher or low. Like, we can't just go full bear to full
and
bull.
retest the long-term trend lines probably.
Yes, exactly. So that's where I'm patiently kind of like coping with, well, that'll come in eventually, but it's hard. It's hard day after day to see things like AVAX just exploding. You're like, wait, where's my dip?
Or we retest high time frame W necklines. Like that could happen too.
Right up there.
So like, here's a playbook I've been using is take any coin that ran with the Solun AVAX thing last cycle, and then go to the monthly and just look for big inefficiencies on the monthly chart. So here's Solana.
I know it's going to
80. Yeah, it probably is.
It has to go to 80 before any top.
Once I saw Solana get to the midpoint of this monthly inefficiency, I thought, okay, well, where's AVAX's relative inefficiency? And its midpoint is at $41. So in my mind, AVAX to $41 and then probably AVAX to $54. Where is FTM's high time frame monthly inefficiency, it is at 95 cents. So I imagine FTM to 95 cents. That's kind of what I'm playing right now. I'm looking for alts that kind of ran last cycle with that whole narrative and that have big monthly inefficiencies. Probably the juiciest
buying FTM after fucking Halloween, though. It's a long way away for their next catalyst.
No, Halloween's not.
I mean, all they need is Andre to tweet once.
It's the October coin.
Luna's high time frame monthly inefficiency is $42. What if?
Okay, can we cut the stream? Cut the stream, guys. Get this guy out of here.
What if I have a big old bag of Luna Classic?
I love this play.
Dude,
I mean, why not FTT? It's up 500% in the last few weeks.
Exactly. Why not cry?
Let's go look at FTT's HTF.
Grok
HTF FBG on FTT.
It's like 5x'd in the last week since they announced. So, but for real though, apparently it's down to 3 bidders. So there's like 3 active bidders remaining in the potential buyers of FTX as like for the purposes of relaunching.
FTT to $11, dude.
But the funny thing is that the odds of them somehow reincorporating and honoring the holders of FTT through any kind of relaunch are like nil. Like next to nil.
You're talking about fundamentals here, and honestly, my eyes are going cross-eyed right now. Dude, FTT to $11. What more do you need? Look at this line I drew.
Like, why not? Especially if there's a 6-month build-up to the relaunch, like without any comment on FTT, it'll just auto moon. Yeah. But I'm going to go ahead and say there's 0 chance I'll ever.
I don't know if you've been following, but I jokingly talked about Krabata like a couple weeks ago in the pit.
Oh yeah,
CRA.
CRA, just because shit like FTT is mooning, and the team actually disbanded. The Krabata team has officially stopped the game as of like many months ago, and
oh god, I'm looking at it now. It's up 130%.
About a day after I mentioned it in the pit, it does a 5x.
Jesus. I mean, 93K liquidity though, like one guy 5x that with 4 ETH buy.
But now I think it peaked at about 30x from the lows today.
Jesus. Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
And so like people are pumping this thing. I don't know why.
Dude,
it's probably because
it's not even about why.
It's 59 cents, all right?
93K liquidity, like I could literally 10x that thing right now with a 10 ETH buy.
Do it.
But nobody's getting paid. Like, then where's your exit liquidity? Like, there's no liquidity.
I think whoever is pumping this thing like must have a plan for
like taking over the code or something. I think that's what they want you to think. So you'll jump in and buy, and then they can exit their final position.
Dude, it's just AVAX.
We're just creating a meme.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Boomer assumption. That's why. Okay, so let's go back to Astro Pepe X.
Wait, hold on. Someone asked if I'm still calling for the huge flush down, the 40% in one day. I am. Okay, very much so. Yeah, it's not changed.
I don't think there's any fundamental reason to think that couldn't happen, and any less than it could have before.
This only strengthens my belief. The price action of the last month strengthens my belief in that.
I don't think it happens from this little range, though. I still feel like we end this move on the approval, and then we just like have a slow sideways down boredom period, and that period ends with a catastrophic fuck
no bull market until the people who say that the ETF is a buy the news event get liquidated. Then we can bull market.
Pretty much.
And there's a sick little part of your brain that's like, but what if it gets approved and then just moons and never stops? But that's how you get
this time's different, dude.
I got caught up with that on the the Coinbase IPO. I'm not going to be caught again.
Yeah.
They're not going to get me this time. I'm probably going to hold my spot for the most part. Not like I have a ton of Bitcoin spot, but I'm not going to try to overtrade anything in the next 6 to 12 months. Like, with that position, unless I see something like Doge break out against Bitcoin, I might flip to Doge and ride some Bitcoin gains, but I'm not trying to like go to cash and then get back in. Like, I don't think I'm smart enough to outsmart this catalyst. Think about it. This catalyst probably is going to be the most contested, like hotly manipulated, like all the biggest players pulling out their biggest tricks, biggest guns, like in the history of Bitcoin. Like you are up against the absolute worst odds ever of trying to be the guy who caught a leverage long into the fucking moon. That's my 2 cents. So I ain't even trying to jump into that arena.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it yesterday, like the price action of the last 2 weeks. Like, good luck. I thought I had it made on that Monday retest or Monday range low reclaim, and I had a fat BTC long. I was like, maybe I'll be the guy. And then this week they'll announce the ETF. Nope. Nuked.
Yeah.
And then mooned.
Yeah, trying to time the ETF announcement, like there's no edge there.
Yeah. Like if it ever does eventually come out, it'll be front run by some absolute washout. Like nobody's getting a free lunch there. So I've come to terms with that. I've stopped trying to do it. And feels good. Tastes great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting market right now. I do think I do think we got a few more weeks of this.
I hope so. I mean, I hope like the more delayed the inevitable outcome is, assuming the outcome remains positive, is just like more room to play. And the speculation is the more fun place to play than the actual outcome.
Yeah, for sure.
I got to go refill my scotch. I'll be RB, and then let's look at some.
All right. BRB then.
So yeah, Toast. What else are you looking at in terms of on a little tasty dip? What are you trying to slurp?
Trying to slurp some DYDX. I like CFX, dude. I'm liking CFX. Look at this consolidation.
Yeah.
Above this sort of depression trough. It looks good.
Yeah, it looks good.
It looks sendable.
How's the AGIX look? That's like your AI major, right?
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah.
Broke high time frame downtrend. I guess I could redraw this better. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really trading this like actively. I'm just buying. I bought a big ass bag somewhere in here.
I just know I'm like so underexposed to AI coins, and it's a new sector, and I need to.
This baby's about to launch, dude.
Fetch. Yeah. What does Fetch do again?
It's AI, and so it's probably going to go up. Is that helpful?
Yeah, it was. That's all I needed to know. Someone in the chat asked about Tau. I don't know.
Let's pull that up. I know everyone's been talking about that. I haven't even checked it out yet.
Yeah.
Where
I
should I
faded this thing at 30.
BitTensor? BitTensor. I have heard of that. Yeah. Woo-wee.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. What's our what's targets look like?
Really waiting for a pullback on that. But to answer, let's see who in the chat asked about it. Kingsley David, what do I think of Tau? I think enough people who are serious about owning something for a long period of time are bidding this coin. And that's all I really need to know.
Tau to $273, dude.
Yeah. I bet Tau hits, I mean, in peak bull, I bet Tau hits over 1,000.
Yeah.
Unless something crazy happens, but
I also would say render to double digits, probably. Let me clear all this shit off the chart.
Easy.
Yeah,
man.
it looks great. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you still think of render as leverage NVIDIA or no? Not really.
Well, NVIDIA mooned while render was consolidating here.
Yeah.
So it's like either delayed NVIDIA beta or thinking like that will get you wrecked. I don't know.
Yeah. Either way.
I try to just trade it on its own merits. It's the dumbest fucking coin that's ever existed on planet Earth. IMO. I know there's lots of people who really believe in decentralized GPU rendering. I don't think the entertainment industry is pining for the ability to do this without centralization.
Sure.
I don't think they give a fuck. And there's lots of benefits to centralization, especially when intellectual property is concerned. The other narrative is like GPUs for AI, and I think that's what really carries it. But at the end of the day, I also don't think that decentralized AI GPU is particularly attractive or wanted. Like I don't think there's lots of entities who are like, we need this to not be in the hands of one party. Like they want to be the one party.
Sure. Yeah, that's what capitalism's all about.
Yeah, right. They're not really hoping they can get their AI prompts calculated using 1,000 neckbeards computers across the world. I really wish an army of neckbeards would compute this.
Do you think like AKT catches a bid in like the same type of
Akash?
bid? Yeah.
Is that what AKT is? Yeah. AKT is one of Altcoin Psycho's long-term high conviction bags. And I tend not to fade that guy.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. What does it do again? Like it matters?
Basically like I think it's like decentralized hosting.
Yeah. Cool, man. It's cool stuff. Yeah, I mean it's formed a nice little cup.
One against AWS.
A little handle.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, I know people like there's what people say and then there's what people do. And I think that the complaints about AWS outside of like RPC endpoints is largely overblown just because of like there's so many conveniences that come with using AWS for any infrastructure deployment that don't get talked about. All that gets talked about is the gripes. I think those conveniences don't exist in like competing frameworks. But that never stopped a coin from going absolutely ballistic. I will say it has the fact that it's Cosmos Eco against it.
Yeah, it's not bullish.
No. Maybe this cycle will get like a Cosmos sector rally that is a benefit. But I don't think it's right now.
Yeah.
Although Atom has and continues to look amazing.
Yeah, I think it's kind of in the same sector as LUNC now in terms of like hated coin.
Right.
The only people remaining are going to be like the most diehard holders that aren't going to sell until much, much higher. So yeah, I think hated coins from last cycle
big time. Yeah.
To bid on.
Yeah, that's honestly why I bought a fuckload of Luna, is because it just seems just redacted enough for it to just moon.
Absolutely. It has to.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been a very L1 heavy rotation over the last couple of weeks.
We're back.
Like, we can put into that category TIA, FTM, AVAX, Atom, BNB. Nah, I don't know. Not really. But who gives a F? They've got their own overhang. CANTO did pretty well for a little while. And then DYDX is an L1.
How's TOMO doing?
TOMO?
TOMO had like a phantom run
what an
all
insane
year.
person coin. This thing is nuts.
Which one?
It has absolutely zero chill.
Yeah.
But yeah,
like all year it was just mooning. Now it's kind of maybe gearing up.
Below its 200 week EMA.
Like quietly mooning too. Isn't it like a Korean?
Well, this is like a ICT trader coin, like the Follises and the Kens and the like all the newer traders on the timeline have been just like scalping the F out of this thing for obvious reasons. Like, look at it. It's behaved very well. You got 3 chances on the weekly to long the bottom of this range or short the top. And it goes very fast once it's there. So yeah. It's an interesting coin. What is it again?
It's some kind of L1S thing. I remember the hype during way back, like 2018, 2019, when it first launched.
Oh
But
yeah, it's got
it
some
just was
history to it.
quietly mooning this year. But how crazy is it? How many coins were just doing ridiculous numbers this year through the fairly like abysmal bearishness, like Caspa, you know, and then
Yeah,
someone
I was
tells
just
you about it, and you're
gotta
like,
bring-
wait a sec,
gotta
how
bring
the fuck did I not hear about Caspa?
Yeah.
And it was quietly just doing like multi X's all year. So it
think,
makes
like-
me wonder how many like, yeah, like
on crypto Twitter, popular coins are extremely bullish, and like the coins that you hear about a lot are typically not the ones that move the hardest.
here. Let me steal screen share for a sec,
dude. When I just
gotta
to
show you
say
the
before
Caspa.
I relinquish it,
Yeah,
I called this on stream at the stone bottom that this was highly biddable.
like the hated
And-
rally coming.
Yeah,
I remember that.
and I fucking missed it, but
And
I
I
did
faded
call
it.
it. So
Yeah, I
calling
remember it
is
and I
better than
faded it.
making a bunch of money, right?
Yep. Um,
While you're switching, I gotta take off. I have a meeting in like 5 minutes.
no.
Um,
Okay, first
you
things
guys-
first, or last comment before you go. Have you changed your mind about APX, Astro PepX? Are you ready to accept my Astro PepX meme shell?
I mean, I can't fade that chart.
I
love
need
the
this.
chart.
I need this from
Yeah.
you.
Hey, RT, have you checked out YFI?
Nope.
Dude, look at it. It is wild. Like
Okay.
no one's talking about it, but it's what made me think that the next rotation might be LSDs.
So look at Caspa, June 2022, Heart of the Bear. And I don't know where it was along this. It was very late in this trend that someone told me about it. And I was just like, holy fuck, how has this never been on my radar?
The only person that was telling me about Caspa was Tidro, of course.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay,
What a
so
guy.
I need to get up with the Hxro Juju because I am not familiar with his persona, but I keep hearing guys in the pit being
course,
like,
yeah.
Hxro's back. Like, does he just call shit all the time and it's like
Yeah,
an
dude.
auto copy trade?
Well, not all the
Dude.
time, but
As we were nuking in the beginning of the bear market, Tidro came in and said, bid our loop. It's a team associated with Elon Musk. We all bid, and then it went like 30x in a day.
Jesus.
That's who
Okay.
Tidro is.
I need to hit up Hxro. I heard today he's hiring. He's looking for interns, so I gotta
you
hit
go.
him up.
he is
Get
actually.
in there.
Yep.
We're gonna have an intern orgy pool. But then look,
Wow.
yeah. So I faded
Yeah.
it because somebody like somewhere around here was kind of like shilling me on Caspa. I was like, okay, in this market of depressed coins, how am I gonna pick the one that's up, 800% in a week? But then look at it. It's like, what is it? What is happening?
Yeah.
Who's buying that? It's sick. Okay. All right. Well, take care, Chewbacca. Don't forget to buy some APX. Get it on your meme coin radar. I feel better
right.
knowing you're in
Buy my
because you're the meme
bags.
coin guy. And
I'll give it
yeah. And it's
a
still sub
festival.
5 mil market cap, even if it has any kind of meme rally, which let's be real, it should.
All
Yeah, RT definitely. Oh, peace out, Chewbacca.
Take
Good to
care,
have you
brother.
back, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, RT, check out YFI.
All right. And by the way, I hope you don't have to run soon because I'm fucking just getting started.
I might have to run soon, but
I will
Here with
pay
you,
for your nanny. Call your nanny up. Be like, yo, come in here. Baby's awake. We're streaming. Yeah, Wi-Fi is doing its thing.
yeah, but I mean, it's just if you look at it, it's just breaking out.
Yeah, on the high time frame. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm finding challenging about this particular phase is that you come in, maybe it's 10, 12 days into a very vertical rally. So it's hard to find a place to manage risk against. But then you zoom out and you can find a million reasons why it's still just investable.
Yeah, well, I mean, if like, because right now I was just telling Chewbacca, like, if you just filter your watch list by L1s, all of them mooned.
So check this out. I had one of my interns put this together for me. So all the Bing X perp contracts, and he categorized them. I don't know if people can see that. So L1, L2s, GameFi, SocialFi, AI. So you can click on that and start to get a sense of the sector.
Yeah, I
And
mean, if you pull
yeah,
up that,
L1's have been
just
ripping.
pick one at random on the weekly, and it's like mooned.
Oh god, yeah, Tia.
Yeah.
Kava. Well, that's the thing. So that's what I'm doing now is scanning for ones because we're in that environment where it's very easy to get caught in the chaos of you look at everything, you feel like, oh, I've missed everything because what's everyone tweeting about, right? The one that's already up, the ones they're cashing in on, the winners. But then if you just fucking cool your tits, circle back to the full watch list of an entire exchange, you can still find a whole bunch of names that are just showing those pre-breakout signs that all the other ones that are mooning had before their breakout.
Yeah.
I think that something that people have to learn how to do is not get caught up in what you just missed, but look for the next one. So I made a little list here.
That's smart.
Dusk.
Yeah.
Perfect example here. Let's see. So Dust is a good example. And like, because I bet most people watching and the majority of participants are feeling the same feeling, which is like you were kind of caught off guard. Now you're looking at everything. It seems like you missed it. But then last week I went and looked at Dusk and actually had this on the chart already from before. And then you look over here and you're like, all the buy volume bars are higher. You're like, yo, this one's probably going to go.
Yeah.
And the next day, fucking send.
Yeah.
And now that's a breakout. So it's going to pull back a bit here, but it's most likely ready like into its next little trend, right?
My operating thesis right now is that we're seeing very concentrated, like sector-wide breakouts on L1s because we're in pre-cycle accumulation for large wallets. And so what are you going to load up on? They've already loaded up on BTC to the degree that they're comfortable, I imagine. So the next thing you might imagine is ETH, but ETH, you know, if you're going to push out on the risk curve, why not go to the thing that's going to get more X's? So they all just jump right to Sol, right to AVAX, right to FTM, right to all the L1s that are generally safer than protocol tokens. And so if that's the operating idea, then like, what's the next rotation? I think people are going to start to nibble into non-L1 like protocol sectors. And I'm looking for which is the first. So you got AI, you got real world assets, you've got LSDs, and you've got governance tokens. And I think YFI is an early signal that we're going to get LSDs as a major sector rotation in the near term if BTC remains bullish.
Is YFI an LSD now?
It is now, yeah.
Or
and
was it
FXS
always?
kind of popped off. Yep. Well, no, it wasn't always, but they introduced.
I thought it was more like OG ETH DeFi.
So you got FXS, you got Lido, you got YFI. What else is in LSDs?
Let me go find it. There's a category we have here. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Is like, okay, all these things are mooning. Bitcoin looks a little soft, but like there is going to be continued rotations. And I'd much rather talk about the next one than like reminiscing over all the things that have now been missed.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like it's good to identify things and whatever and what you missed, but then it's like, okay, let's get serious. Okay. So
I think governance like ARB and OP, like OP had a little bit of some moonage over the last few weeks, but I largely think that governance is going to get cucked in this sort of accumulation phase because like they launched with such high such high valuations in general that like the juice is not there for the squeeze for like big wallets to load up on governance because
what do you mean like Arbitrum or OP type thing?
Yeah, like we don't know how these like layer governance tokens perform in a bull, but we do know their valuations are high. So like, yeah, obviously L1s go crazy in a bull, so load up on those. But with governance, it's like, I'm not getting a cheap price really, and I don't know how it performs. It's a big question mark. So I think they largely get cucked until some later point in the cycle.
Yeah, and I agree. Governance tokens are like one of the peak fugazis of crypto, where it's like, because what is the governance really, right? It's so centralized, like the core holders control it anyways. It's all, but here's the thing. So look at Frax, arguably one of the most fundamentally powerful, you know, should be around for a long while, ETH proxies, and has been absolute boredom to death. And I can confirm, because I was on a call with some guys who have been sitting in it through this whole trough, literally just getting sick to their stomach over how long it's taking. And so I took that as a signal to pick some up on that dip day. So I picked it up after the dip, obviously, because who fucking catches dips in this world? So right after this little nuke candle, I scoop some and it's breaking out. But as much as it's just gone up a bit, but look at this. Its ultimate bottoming range, it has just reclaimed and is now retesting.
And it's technically a partial return on that range on that second leg down, which could be otherwise stated as a probably higher time frame W.
This down here?
Yeah, like partial return, meaning it should have gone to the bottom of that range, but did not.
Yeah, like so internal strength signal kind of thing.
Yeah, partial returns are like if you have a range that's well defined, it's visited the top, it's visited the bottom, and then you get a partial return where it doesn't actually hit the bottom and then reverses. It's a bullish signal, but like that can also be expressed. Yeah, it can also be expressed as a W with a higher second leg.
Exactly. So, well, that's the thing. So if you took a new reload zone, that's what this is, right? So low to high reload zone. So the first trade and ideal trade was right here, and www breakout volume retest, and that's where I got my spot bag. But it's almost there's a next setup here because it's now out of that range, and it's retesting it. So you have a new trade to work with. Like if it goes back below this into that range, you could cut it.
Yeah,
but
I mean, look at it on the monthly real quick.
Well, yeah, and if it doesn't, it's got sky's the limit going on here.
Yeah.
So I really like FXS, and part of what I liked about it is how apathetic the guys who have been in it had become. Because everyone was just like, fucking, this coin's cursed, it never does anything. And that's usually when they wake up, similar to the LUNC. So I think this is just breaking out into a much more sustained midterm FU rally. And look at that, Chaos PRZ lined up right with the last highs on the year. So
yeah,
my target's $14. I think longing from this range high retest is probably worth a look.
Yeah.
And so I really like Frax here, especially with ETH slowly buzzing and becoming cool again. Frax is a lot going for it. Well, it should be, but
what I noticed is that recently, every time ETH BTC ticks up, we get a nuke. Every time that BTC bottoms, people long ETH instead, and then it turns out to not be the bottom. So it's like everyone's being punished for longing ETH every single time, including ETH derivatives like Lido, where it should serve as ETH beta, but ultimately cucks, and then ETH cucks, and then it really nukes. And so it's like,
I agree. It has become the cuck signal coin, but look at this perspective on the ETH weekly. So pretty clearly established resistance range. I got faked out here. I thought for sure we were ripping higher, but now we've broken out, closed a weekly above it. So the retest of that level, even if you're wrong, that's the kind of long midterm swing you have to try to take a shot at. Is it not?
Yeah.
Right.
I agree. It's just like, I remember last cycle, ETH took its sweet ass time to do anything interesting. And
exactly. Until everyone's not interested in it. And then it does the thing.
It sucks to be second in this space, right? Because people will largely, if they want to go for beta, they're going to skip over you because you don't do enough, right? So it's like, well, if I'm not longing BTC, I'm longing something much shittier than ETH.
Yeah, like if I think ETH's going to do well, I'm automatically just longing ETH derivatives.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I think that it ends up in this weird place where, like, yeah, it might take a while for it to do anything interesting again. The upside of that, though, is muted volatility, where, like, I pointed this out last stream, where, like, ETH's bottom was not the FTX lows. So Bitcoin, it overperformed.
Didn't even make
Bitcoin.
new lows after FTX.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, no, FTX is that second trough.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, like it's
it was just a reload zone.
Right. You have the benefit of muted volatility to the downside, but the negative of that is that it's really not doing much to the upside.
It is a weirdly cucked coin, but I'm not gonna lie. Long term, big picture. I mean, ETH will have its place in the space, but it's fundamentally just built with already what seems to be aging tech. Like they're like, we're going to scale infinitely through L2s. It'd be like, okay, how about something that doesn't even need to do that? And that's,
I just think that like
the Solana
that argument's being made
narrative.
now. I don't see a world in which that narrative doesn't come back to bite its progenitors. Like,
yeah, like fading ETH completely is a mistake.
Right. Like, yeah, yeah, sure. Like I find that fundamental arguments around why ETH's not doing well and Solana are ultimately like reverse cope. Where like you're just trying to find a good reason for why your coin's doing well when like really like there's not a good reason and probably like it's not going to last forever.
Yeah, I agree to that to some extent. But if you go to somebody, and I was talking to my buddy about this last night, he's in software sales, and we were talking about one of the next major things that you should probably just start a business about is being the guy who can bridge Web 2 and legacy existing systems into crypto, right? Because I like in the next few years, I think most businesses are going to want to be able to like engage with crypto, whatever, NFTs for memberships, like accepting USDC. Like that's an infrastructural piece that a lot of businesses are going to want. And what are you going to tell them? Like, oh yeah, let me set you up with like an ETH payment solution where every transaction is $5 and the whatever. It's like, no, you're going to direct them to Solana, like fucking Solana Pay. And like, so in that sense, I feel like it's got some limitations, but yeah, I don't know. I think ETH will stick around and do well for a while and it'll have its niche, but I just can't wrap my head around it being like the be all end all. Like the killer dApp that is the first big crypto killer dApp won't be built on ETH. It can't be. It's too expensive. It's too limited. Even last week, wasn't transactions up to $100 during one of the little pump days?
I believe the narrative that that ETH is not a place. ETH is a settlement layer.
Yeah, for the L2s and all the other fun shit.
And it's very possible that the killer dApp will be built on L2s. I'm not counting that out.
And then the value prop for ETH long-term becomes that risk-free rate, like the POS rewards, the LSDs, like where you can stake large amounts of ETH and just secure a 4 and 5% yield on it.
I just find that like heavy cycle price action is so detached from reality and fundamentals that like all fundamental arguments are like a waste of breath, because it's like, if you're going to base your investment decisions around the fundamental arguments for why a narrative around a coin is going to change, like it's so much more a shot in the dark than just saying, hey, relative to its past performance, this is undervalued, and so I'm going to hold the bag until it's overvalued. Yeah,
well, which is probably a huge part of like Solana was a perfect storm, like easy to assess looking back, but it was a huge dev community and a huge, potential and all this stuff. It was like just perfectly positioned to be a huge gainer, and it was underpriced and overhated because of the FTX and all the bullshit. And now we're seeing it, reprice to more closer to what should be the reality of it. And that's why I still kick myself for only having a bag of like a reasonably sized bag of Solana. It's a good bag. It's suddenly my third biggest holding, but that's just because it went up so much.
Yeah.
But ETH, I know I'm not too high on it, but I like longing it here. I like the idea of it having now reclaimed this range, and it's like worth a shot at this little retest.
I think the best thing you can do with ETH is
sell it,
buy relative low, and then collateralize and forget you have it.
How do you mean collateralize? Like borrow against?
Yeah, borrow against it. Like for instance, like if you bought this reclaim, or let's say you were able to snipe something like much lower, like let's say you wait for the crash and then you get it and you buy it, but in order for you to not touch it until it does do its thing, you're going to have to unlock that capital efficiency and collateralize it and go do whatever you're going to do with that borrowed capital. And that way you have that bag when it comes time. That's kind of
on that note, here's an interesting project, which I can't fully vouch for because it seems weirdly isolated, but there's this one called Zero Liquid. I was a little hype on it earlier this year because it was doing all these 100% moves. And once they launched their full product, it just died. So sell the news on the launch. But their whole thing is it's a borrowing platform where you essentially put up LSDs, like staked ETH or whatever, as your collateral, and then you can borrow cash against it, and then it's an auto repaying loan. So the yield from the staked ETH that you borrowed against just over time pays itself off. And so in that sense, and there's no risk of liquidation for whatever reason. There's like, you have to read into it a bit more, but they're like zero chance of liquidation risk because the ETH will eventually always yield itself back to whatever. That's a cool product.
Yeah.
Like to what you were saying, as far as like taking your ETH, like leveraging it, borrowing against it. So there are some LSD5 projects kind of doing that. And it actually just woke up the other day. We were thinking about picking some up. But I think it's one of those cases where it's a team who's built something cool, but they're kind of like siloed. They're not plugged into like the DeFi whale community. So it never really caught a massive bid.
Yeah.
Let's look at STG. I just got a price alert on STG, which is one that I think is worth a look for the next little bit, because let's look at it. So there's omni-chain stablecoins starting to come out. Tapioca DAO is on the verge of launching, and Stargate is at the core part of that. Layer 0 airdrop buzz probably heating up. And look at this chart. It's like weekly level, dipped through it, reclaimed it, volume breakout, now retesting it. Like, I kind of like STG again.
Yeah, for sure.
Quietly becoming
nice buyback on Bitcoin right now.
Oh, is it? Let's go see. That's what happened to me on the Tuesday live stream. I was literally live in the last 7 minutes of the stream is when the big nuke happened, and I didn't even notice it. It was a shame because it was an auto long on that lick cascade. But I don't trade futures anymore, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I'm done with that.
I literally say that, and then in the same sentence I end with, but I really want to just get one low leverage long on Doge for the next 2 months.
That doesn't entirely not make sense.
The rocket launch thesis.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd be really stung if I missed that. I mean, I have a fat spot bag, but it's not the same. So what did you see here?
Just a nice buyback on the 1M.
Ooh. Along the Empire Fractal. It's probably one of my favorite and only candlestick patterns I pay attention to. If you have a dip and then one of these hammers, and then the next candle closes above the pre-candle dip, it's a strong reversal signal, but only on things like dailies and 4 hours. But
yeah.
What do you think? Should we long it?
I'm just gonna wait for Monday range reclaim.
Smart. This is why I hang out with you when I'm drinking scotch. keep me level.
Tia looks like it's found a bottom. Clear to 4-hour FEG, is now headed up. I think it just needs some strength from Bitcoin to go.
Let's see. Oh, it's been listed on Coinbase too. Nice.
Very
bottom?
nice. Yeah.
Time frame you're looking at?
I'm looking at the 4-hour.
Ooh, resting on the EMAs.
Yep, there you go.
Get a little PCZ.
Not quite, right?
This is one of those markets where I should just be sitting patiently through all these little FOMO rallies and waiting and setting bids in these little levels. And then after that nuke we had last Friday or whatever it was, the first one, and they all came in, and then I was like, oh, fuck, I guess we missed it. And then literally like 3 days later, it happened again. And I was like, oh, missed it again.
Yeah.
And now I'm very convinced it won't happen for another little while, but that's all you have to do. Really, it's like as simple as, oh, you're feeling FOMO? Just drag up this tool, keep setting bids at these levels. And then on nuke days, all you get is a bunch of alerts about how perfectly filled you got. I want some Tia, but I'm struggling now that I faded it down here.
It's so good, dude.
I feel like I need to let the post-launch hype thing play out and then inevitably it ends up with one of those reload zones. And like
that TIA trade was how all trades go in your mind when you press the order button. Like it literally just went straight to target.
Just mooned. I know. I remember too on this dip day, you guys were all saying the same tune, and I looked at it here or something, and then was just like, oh, I guess I missed the. I don't know. Fuck, man, I've been doing that a lot lately. You're like, I missed the perfect tag, so I'll just wait a sec, and then yeah, it just rips. I'm not too bothered. I completely numb to that experience.
You sound unbothered, dude.
I'm pretty unbothered. That's why I like spot trading.
DYDX. You already got a top performer.
Oh, dude, DYDX was a smacker.
Yeah.
But it was the aftermath of closing that trade is when I decided I'm fucking over the future shit. Like loaded up heavy here. Close some, reloaded some, close some, close the rest. Great trade. Look at overall account balance, fucking flat, because in the meantime was just fucking cucking shitty little Bitcoin trades.
Yep. Cuck-a-doodle-doo.
Let's look at on-chain. What do we see in on-chain?
I'm not the on-chain guy
AI
anymore.
AI doing well? Not this week.
No.
The AI conference is over. Shibarium is an old playlist we should not look at.
Yeah.
What's that? Oh, you said DopeX was looking good. What's going on there?
It's from a fundamental analysis perspective. I think it's looking good. They're launching new product. They're finally doing the V2 migration that they've been talking about for literally since the bull market.
Options, right?
Yeah, you can. So basically, they now have American style options. I think they have the most mind share for options in the space. I think like people are most familiar with them because of Tetra. And the one strike against them was that their options were European style, where you got to wait till expiry to cash out. And you know, if you're wrong by expiry, then you're wrong. With American style options, you can cash out at any time. And so if you're midterm right, you can decide to get off the trade at any time.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, they've just launched that. And then the dev, who is also a pretty good trader, has just like been publicly running up an account using their new options. So he's at like 21x, I think, right now on a small account. And so yeah, I think I just know like Tetra's back. The vibes are back.
Tetranode?
Yeah.
Is he one of their like cheerleaders or advisors?
Yeah, he's one of the early investors and advisors.
We got to get him on stream.
We have to.
I heard some buzz that we're going to take a look at that.
That would be sick.
You know who we got to get on stream? Arthur motherfucking Hayes.
That would be fire too.
We got to go find him on whatever beach he's retired on and just be like, hey, Arthur, come on our stream. Start there and see where we go. Sorry, I'm half reading the chat, so I'm just shit talking right now. Let's take a look at the chat. Godfather says, you guys think no 20% downtrend? Have seen it for a couple of months. Don't know what you mean by that.
Dude, Bitcoin's nuking right now.
Oh, God, is it?
Yeah.
That's okay. So that's what I need to do on stream. We need some kind of set of alerts. Because that's what happened on the Tuesday stream. Is like I was sitting there chatting about this and that, and then I look back and I'm like, Jesus Christ, Bitcoin's down 8% in 1 minute candle. But it was actually perfect because I had a moment earlier in the stream where there was a little local low time frame reload zone long, and I was sitting there going, I want to take this so bad, but I won't because this stream's about not over trading. And then by the end of the stream, that whole range got nuked, and I was like, see, kids, over trading is bad. So it actually worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
It was a live lesson. The problem is it ended up being a great long from that nuke. But anyways, this is going back to why I'm super done with futures, because all day, even if you're not trading actively, you kind of are drawn to stare at the chart and think of that setup that came in, that whatever. It's like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Like my spot bag, my spot positions, all that day to day, none of this bothers me one bit.
Yeah, and like I see a lot of participants being conditioned lately in that way to value spot over leverage. It's just interesting to see the psychological turning that ends up being instrumental to like early bull cycles.
How do you mean?
Like the reason we probably don't have gigantic OI flushes very early, you know, like they're more rare in early bulls is because I think, you know, late stage accumulation shakes people out of leverage trading.
Yeah. Well, and the greed is lower too, right? Like,
Yeah,
I think over time, the more and more you get like bombarded with massive P&L shares and everyone just insanely euphoric over gains they made in a short period of time, it just draws more and more people in, right? And so the OI just gets out of control, where we're still a little bit in the early phase of a little bit of disbelief and whatever else. So this one caught me off guard. And in retrospect, there was ways to think it looks obvious, but like this flush, I was like, oh, cool. Like that's the moment we've been waiting for to get some longs in. And I did. And so then coming through here, I was like, nice, like little fib pong. And then it did it again. And and then I just kind of was like, fuck it, I'm done for a bit. And then of course, whatever. But then look today, right back. Yeah. So this is why when I'm not leverage trading, I look at this and I go, like, I'm like, ha, like how sick that I don't give a shit about that. Yeah. But when you're in it day to day, it's insanely stressful. So yeah, I think I hit my limit this week and just decided, fuck it. Because then look back at my spot port holdings, they're doing great. Like, yeah. There's nothing about them that's anything. Like I'm literally 100% in. I have a little cash and it's for the futures account. There's no reason to feel underexposed, but futures will fuck with your head, man.
It's just Yamji, dude, telling you that spot is underexposed.
That's it. Well, it's that mentality, right? Where you feel like, because at the end of the day of any move like that, the only guys you're hearing from are the ones who fucking crushed it, and it draws you in. So anyways, I've been rambling about it all day, but I finally last night decided, I wrote it in my trade journal. I said, you are done. It's been a long time coming. We're going to go to spot swing trading, which is where your bread and butter's at.
Not I, said the fly.
No, you love that shit. And like, I think you're very much more cut out for it too. You got to know, like some traders are, some traders aren't. Some can, some can't.
Yeah, everyone's got a different style.
I can't be bothered. Like like, okay, for example, you load up on Solana shitcoins over the last 2 months passively, and like, how are you looking right now? You're up 10, 20x across the board. Portfolio is almost 2x. And for what amount of effort did you put into it? Just casually buying over a period of months. That's the shit. That's the goals I have in life.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get back to that.
Dude, look at Pocket on this fucking Bitcoin nuke, dude.
Let's see. Which one? Bybit?
Either one. Anyone. It's like that
anything.
Cat coming in the door. Like, what did I miss?
Oh, were we supposed to be nuking?
Did something happen? What?
Yeah. So that's what's fucking me up in this market. And so that's what DYDX did during the nuke yesterday.
Yeah, Tia did that too.
Exactly. Like they're basically unfazed, which tells me we're in that part of like liquidity cycle rotation part of the market. Yeah. Where you don't have to automatically assume that everything will nuke when Bitcoin does. Like this Bitcoin like carving out this range is almost very good for alts.
Yeah. Although it's troublesome that I see so many people like on a Bitcoin nuke, they're not interested in bidding Bitcoin. They're interested in bidding alts.
Which is an important signal though, right? Like you got to identify that.
Important signal for froth and
yes.
Yeah.
Which is
BTC
ultimately
tends to shake bugs off of its back when they keep doing that.
Well, yesterday it kind of did. Like I think a lot of things across the board, but DYDX didn't even flinch yesterday, which was fucking me up because I was looking around. You know, sometimes when all your shit's going down, you look for the ones that haven't dropped yet, and you think, "Oh, I'll capture that profit." And thankfully, I didn't do that on DYDX, and sure enough, today just another leg up. Render, DYDX. What's another one? TIA. Like,
yeah, render barely moved.
Yeah.
FET barely moved.
So that's a signal not to be ignored. Like, that's super good news. And I think people have to just acknowledge that that's the phase we're in. And surely, you know, like, use the Bitcoin dips for chances to buy alts, but yeah, don't get shaken out of strong performing alts just because Bitcoin farted.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I think it's rotation season, baby. It's literally that point of the season where you have to start charting versus Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like, look at Doge.
I mean, unless you are,
Doge.
if you're a high time frame swing trader, yes.
Yeah.
But
Like,
that's
this
like
is the part where the Bitcoin pairs should start to tick up.
Well, it's like if you are a low time frame scalper or even an intraday trader, like, you know, maybe intra-week trader, the losses of alts against Bitcoin is not your concern, because when Bitcoin bounces, they will bounce harder. And if all your entries are there and your exits are just higher, then you will outperform Bitcoin on a portfolio basis.
Exactly. Yeah. I think for a few weeks there, it wasn't the case. Bitcoin was just destroying, but now we're definitely at the part where alts, like, the froth is back. People want the bigger gains. And look at fucking Doge today. So shitty day for Bitcoin. It's huge volume breakout day on Doge Bitcoin pair. And look at where it is. High time frame.
Yeah.
This is the one, aside from my futures retirement, this is the one coin where I want to get into one, like, 2-month low leverage long on. Make that my send off futures trade for the account, because it's just so primed. Look at it right on this level on the Bitcoin pair, especially now with today's little bounce. And then look at it's my final shill of the day. So eventually we should probably wrap eventually. I could go all day, but look at this on the weekly. First off, and this is me. This is the guy who didn't take one fucking sniff at Doge through all the mania and through this whole thing. I've just been waiting, and now I'm finally looking at it like, okay, it has to be ready with that thing in January. Like, what are the odds that between now and that launch, Elon Musk doesn't do some amount of tweeting and building up and rehyping of Doge 1 launching to the... He's like, SpaceX is sending Doge 1 to the moon. That tweet and then the following narrative is almost inevitable. I can't...
Yeah.
You know, it can't not be. So... Yeah, got to find my entry on a little Doge long to hold.
Need that Doge long.
It's my it's still my second largest spot holding, but I feel like I need more. So,
dude, Tia's gonna fucking break new highs.
Where do you value that one? Like, where do you think it has to reprice on, like, an FDV type level?
It's FDV right now is, and like, I'm definitely not the first to notice this. Its FDV is 5.7 bill right now, but its market cap is 813 mil. And it doesn't actually have, besides staking emissions, it has no unlocks until October 2024.
Okay,
so you can pretty much consider it.
Yeah,
you can pretty much consider it an 813 mil market cap coin where it stands right now for the next year.
That's pretty sick. And what's going on chain? Like, is there a bunch of shit going on? Transactions, TVL? Like,
no, it's a very institutional coin. Like, if you go to their website, like, it's clearly like, this is not for end users. It's for people building blockchains. But I actually kind of find that to be a little bit bullish. Because
like a B2B type thing?
Yeah, like, you don't like, yeah, it's supposed to be a data availability layer for other blockchains. So really only devs give a fuck about it. The degree to which they need the token, I have no idea. I just know that, like, if you don't have a bunch of people speculating on TVL and you don't have a lot of, like, end user focused news, like, it just clears out a lot of, you know, headwinds.
God, I hate getting shilled on coins this well after the move they've just made. But that is the way. That's the way of the world, though. Like how many
Yeah.
times people bring things to my attention about how fucking great they are, and then I'm like, I don't even have to check. I know I'm going to go to the chart, and it's up 50% today.
Well, I'll
And
tell
I'm
you
like,
this.
where were you last week?
About 3 months after I started accumulating Pocket, Ansem dropped research report that contained it, and that was like pretty close to the top, like, you know, maybe a few weeks before. And it was decentralized physical infrastructure that a lot of people were really excited about, despite the fact that like there's no end user implementation of this unless you're going to go so far as to stake a node, which I did. But very few people are going to do that. So I think
On Pocket.
there's yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like
I heard the
so,
nodes
like,
were printing. That was the hype, that they were just
dude, I
printing
went like
crazy rewards.
6x on node emissions alone.
Yeah.
Much less price appreciation.
I remember
so
that.
yeah.
It was OTC for like 2 to 6 to 5 cents or whatever at one point.
I was buying OTC at 45 cents up to like
45.
90 cents. I sent some guy named Ed on Telegram $50,000.
Trust me, bro. I'll send him back.
Exactly. And but just to say that like TIA has all the makings of that, right? It's infrastructure, you know, it's very opaque and confusing to end users and not really meant for them to begin with. And there's a lot of like smart blockchain folks very bullish on it. And it just reminds me of those Pocket vibes where it's like people are asking what it does and then they like regret that they asked.
Yeah, because like once you explain it to them, they're like, oh, okay, wow, this and that. And then it's like, no, moon. Like Quant kind of reminds me, that show you just mentioned reminds me of like QNT, where it's like,
yeah,
the people who know about it tell you it's probably one of the best use cases in all of crypto, but it's the most boring coin to look at. But then in 10 years, it's probably going to be $800 billion market cap or some shit.
Yeah, Render is sort of has those same vibes where like people can't ever really fully adequately explain it or why it's bullish, but everyone's like giga bullish on it. And it's decentralized physical infrastructure.
Yeah, Render tilted me today because I was sitting around looking for something to buy. And I remember seeing somebody on Twitter talk about how it had been consolidating like this. And I was like, oh, okay, fuck it. I'll go pick that up. And it was apparently 48 hours ago. So sorry.
It kind of looks like it's topping on the 1 hour a little bit.
Yeah.
But it might
you know me, I just will never buy something that's like that unless there was a setup to like buy a retest of that and then it's tight, but fuck it. For one quick sec, can we just talk about AirSwap for a minute?
What is AirSwap?
Let's talk. AirSwap made it into a documentary about crypto because it was one of those 2017 mania ICOs. They raised $30 million in 30 seconds when they like launched their ICO sale. And I don't know what they're doing beyond that, but their basic function is just a trustless OTC smart contract system. So I go to it, I put in an order. I say, I want to buy this many of that token, and I'm going to put 5K USDC into it. So you put your into the smart contract, and then you send the guy you're going to do the OTC deal with the link, and then he deposits the other side of it. And once it's confirmed both people have deposited it, it executes the swap. So it's a trustless OTC fucking tool. Super useful. And it blows my mind how many times almost every month you hear about a team that was like, oh, we got hacked or scammed on some OTC deal where somebody convinced us through DMs that they were somebody. And I'm like, has nobody heard of fucking AirSwap? It's like one of the most basic use cases of fucking blockchain. And so that's Pocket made me think of that because they had a crazy OTC market. You're like, I sent 50K to this guy. I'm like, AirSwap, fucking AirSwap.
Yeah.
And
I also
raised,
sold through OTC, which was also interesting.
Yeah, and I've done a bunch of OTC deals where everyone's kind of like finding a middleman that they can trust. I'm like, how much they raised and how quickly they did it and how effective it is. And still you hear every month about these hacks. So I'm convinced that the majority of those OTC quote unquote thefts or scams are just teams making up excuses to like exit with a bunch of money. It's like there's just no chance that you're that dumb to like $2 million OTC to a DM on Telegram. Like, come on.
Yeah. Well,
so that's
Bitcoin looks horrendous.
That's the shill. Air swap. Let's see what the coin's doing. Not much. And that's the fucking nature of crypto. The actual useful ones.
Yeah.
Tokens are fairly
fundamental analyzers.
boring.
Get right.
Yeah. HNT. Is Bitcoin nuking still?
Yeah. And it really doesn't look like it's formed a bottom yet. There's no like big buyback.
There's the Agger. There's the Agger. Yeah. I'm gonna hang out with you in the pit for the afternoon, and when you tell me on the 10-second chart you saw a buyback, I'm gonna take a little long.
Yeah. It's, I mean, I don't know. Like if it doesn't stop at 35,301 Monday range high previous week, then it might make a lower low. Like
look at this daily. If this daily does not do a lot of healing before
10
close,
10 second,
it looks like a textbook midterm reversal. Like that's railroad tracks, baby. So that's a little upsetting.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of overdue if you think about it. Like, look how far we've come. The mania got frothy. I started lever longing a whole bunch of alts. Like, that's usually a red flag. So I stay out of that for the most part.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's over, guys. We'll see you next week on the pit.
We'll see you next week on the pit. And
we'll see 30% of you next week on the pit.
Well, and hold me accountable. If y'all motherfucker catch me posting futures P&Ls and this and that, just remind me that I said on stream I'm done. I'm done with futures. There's one trade, one caveat, which is like I want to find a low leverage midterm on Doge long that's low risk, low sweat. Other than that, I'm a spot trader.
Peace out, y'all. We'll see you
next
next
week. Take care, guys. It's been a blast. Thanks for coming to watch.